So Professor Kehinde Andrews was listening to that, the author of The New Age of Empire. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
I can't help thinking throughout all of this of the Rodney King case all those years ago in LA. And Rodney King and what flowed from that was meant to mean that George Floyd would never happen again. And it did. So your thoughts on the verdict?
I mean, I think that's the case, right? That this isn't really this massive watershed moment. This is just what should have happened. We all witnessed what happened on the video. It's very clear. The evidence is kind of just obvious. So this is just what should have happened. So that's why no one's really celebrating this. And even if you think historically, just a few years ago, the Walter Scott, who was killed in South Carolina, which is a video of him shot in the back, police officer received a 20-year sentence. So it's not even new to have a sentence in a case like this. And the real question is this going to make a bigger change and the kind of reforms that are necessary? So we just had Ma'Khia Bryant's been killed, a young girl's been killed this week by police in America. And since last summer, there's been a number of shootings. So does this really make a difference?
But we have seen, haven't we, historically as well, many cases that looked as open and shut as this not coming to fruition in the courts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's definitely a good thing that this is the correct verdict. And it should really startle us that there was ever any debate. Because I think there was. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. People weren't sure what was going to happen, which does tell you just how difficult it is to prosecute police officers. And I remind people that in the UK, we've never successfully prosecuted a police officer for any death in custody. So, I mean, it's certainly something, but I don't think it represents any meaningful progress, and it certainly isn't justice for George Floyd. George Floyd is dead, and there's really nothing we can do to give justice to him.
And if, as George Floyd's brother was saying, it's time to roll up our sleeves and do some work, and that, I think, on an issue as important as this applies to all of us. What must that mean, in your view? Let's say for the average Brit, what must that mean?
I mean, I think this is why I'm a bit concerned about the narrative here, because there is a narrative which says, look, we had this killing, and it was this big protest, and now we've solved it. And I think what really we have to do is actually look at this.
Well, that's certainly not my narrative.
Well, no, certainly not. I'm glad to hear that. But if you look, this is the first start, right? And it's far more things about looking about what the role of the police is, it's not just about training, it is about funding. I mean, in the US, there is this big thing about defund the police, which doesn't really apply here in the same sense. But, we are going to be having very big questions about where our priorities lie, particularly after the amount of money we spent on COVID. And unfortunately, both Labour and Conservatives seem to want to put more police on the streets. This is a terrible thing to do, right? We should actually be investing in communities and really, really looking at really proper reforms to police. Things like stop and search. Why is it the case that police are allowed to stop and search and only 10% of stop and search lead to arrests? This is a bad police tactic. We should just really be ended. But we just kind of accept these things. And it's about looking at those bigger things that we should be thinking about.